Guys! Wait up!
Secret of Mana might be one of the most beloved action RPGs from the SNES era, but it's made immeasurably better when you change the protagonist's name from Randy, with an I, which is already childishly amusing enough, to Anne Rand. Truth be told, I wanted to be Anne Randy, but ran out of characters to do so, and didn't want to sacrifice the space in the middle. There's just something delightfully silly about the creator of objectivist philosophy being lambasted for dooming the town of Potos and the world to destruction by taking a rusty sword from a stone. Echoing the words of another Square Enix character, this is a remake that nobody asked for. And while Secret of Mana is beloved, does it really need to be remade with almost obscenely bright and colourful 3D graphics? Probably not, but it's coming anyway, and it's a good excuse for fans of the original and newcomers alike to return to this great game. So it was that young Anne Rand was tagging along behind Timothy and Elliot when he slipped and fell off a tree trunk, being used as a bridge across a treacherous waterfall. Trying to find his way back to safety, he spotted this sword stuck in a stone and decided to do what the voice that was in his head told him to, and took it out. You shouldn't really trust mysterious voices in your head, because pulling what turned out to be the most fabled mana sword from the stone unleashed all manner of evil beasts and monsters into the world. Admittedly, the sword had grown rusty and its power was waning, but that doesn't stop all of the villagers, and the village elder in particular, who had actually adopted Anne Rand as a baby. They all blame you for everything that's going wrong and banish you into the wilderness. Of course, that's not all there is to Anne Rand, and though he might be young, that mysterious voice imploring him to take the sword was almost certainly pushing him to fulfill his destiny, as opposed to simply being a manifestation of psychosis. A travelling knight named Gemma instantly recognises the significance of the sword and gives you a direction after your exile, where you quickly discover that there's ancient myths to be fulfilled, an empire out to seek more and more power, and so many different interesting forces at play. Travelling the world is now fraught with danger though, even if most of the beasts are ridiculously adorable. Rabbites are all fluffy looking like bunnies, but more than eager to take a bite out of you, and there's ponderous, giant walking toadstool mushrooms who will pop their tops off and explode a cloud of poisonous spores. The series' distinctive action RPG combat is here in full force, with an attack meter that is always counting at a rapid fashion up to 100 and up again at the bottom of the screen. You are encouraged to try and stick to striking every 3 seconds as opposed to simply mashing the attack button, as you deal much more damage if you attack just as the 100% marker has been reached, and the game automatically pulls off stabs, swipes, and very occasional leaping attacks. Of course, there's added complexities to come after the first 90 odd minutes that I played, with magics, different weapons, forging weapons, and a party that grows to 3 contrasting characters. Co-op play is also a possibility here, just as it was in the SNES original. It plays really well on the PlayStation 4, with the analog stick and 360-degree movement fully embraced with the 3D models and environments, compared to the limitations of the 8 directions of a D-pad and the 4 directions of sprites that are found on the SNES. But I actually wish that this remake went a bit further by widening some of the paths and opening up the world just a little bit more for exploration. It feels just a shade too directed and a touch claustrophobic at times, and while it does help to funnel you through a succession of enemies, this doesn't really stop you from just running past them if you want to. Pulling back the tree line just a little bit at times would have been great. Strangely, while the general gameplay has been modernised with controls, cutscenes are stuck with the rigid grid-based movement of the SNES original. So, for example, while Elliot is blaming and pushing Anne Rand around when he gets back to Potos, it is in perfectly straight and perpendicular lines. The game is so very bright and colourful now, with the greens of the grass and trees really popping in particular, but it's perhaps a bit too saturated, and that's made all the more obvious when you look up into the corner of the screen for the minimap. This actually uses the original graphics and sprite from the SNES game, and it's a wonderful little touch to have in this remake, but it also shows just how cartoonishly bright the game now is. And the original wasn't exactly dark and foreboding to begin with. The soundtrack is maddeningly infectious as well, as it blasts out in glorious MIDI from the TV speakers. The development build that we played had its volume boosted beyond the point that it should have, making me have to concentrate to pick up the fully voiced dialogue in the mix, but the music is just so quirky and charming. It really gets in your head and you'll be humming or whistling along in no time, even if it is incredibly repetitive. These might not actually be the same arrangements that you'll remember from playing on the SNES though, because there's actually a toggle to switch back and forth between a classic and new soundtrack, but they're still just as frustratingly catchy. Did Secret of Mana need to be remade then? Probably not, and could this remake go further? Almost certainly, but there's an undeniable charm to Secret of Mana that I'm glad is being preserved one way or another. Not only that, but this is the first time that the game is appearing on a games console that hasn't been made by Nintendo, where it most recently appeared on the SNES Mini. The fact that it is coming to PlayStation 4 and Windows in February of 2018 just opens this up to a new audience who might have heard tales of its brilliance. Thanks as ever for checking out our videos, and though I'm not particularly well versed in the Mana series, hopefully my blathering on hasn't put you off seeing the gameplay in the background too much. So please do like, share, subscribe, and come visit us both here on YouTube and over on the6thAxis.com sometime soon. Until then, goodbye!
It's done! I've never seen a sword as fine as this one! What a waste that it got rusted over!